Welcome to the first Friday coffee break with the Community Indicators Consortium. CIC is a central knowledge and organizational hub for community indicators projects, helping to advance and support measurable, equitable, and sustainable improvements in the quality of community life. I am Marty Romiti, Managing Director for CIC, and on the first Friday of each month, we take a short break from our day to learn about the latest projects, data tools, and key issues happening in the world of community indicators. This month, we will try a new approach to the CIC coffee break as we strive to accommodate all time zones and coffee break hours, making the monthly presentation available on demand. This month, Jenny Allison joins us for the coffee break series. Jenny is a program manager at the Center for Regional Economic Competitiveness based in Arlington, Virginia. In this role, Jenny supports several membership associations, including CIC and the Council for Community and Economic Research, C2ER, which focuses on providing community researchers the tools and network to effectively do their jobs. Additionally, she manages the Cost of Living Index program published by C2ER since 1968. As COLI manager, she oversees data provided by volunteers from nearly 400 communities throughout the United States, manages subscriber and media correspondence, and methodically works to enhance both the quality of the data gathered and how it is presented to end users. Jenny has 8 years of community research and economic development experience, holding both master's and bachelor's degrees from the University of Georgia. Jenny will teach us more about the Cost of Living Index and share how it is an important community indicator. As this session is pre-recorded, feel free to reach out to CIC or Jenny if you have questions about the index. Jenny, thank you for joining the CIC coffee break, and I will turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Marty. Hi, thank you for taking time to join us for the CIC First Friday Coffee Break for April 2021, the Cost of Living as a Community Indicator. My name is Jenny Allison with the Council for Community and Economic Research, or C2ER, and I have managed the Cost of Living Index, or COLI project, since 2014. As the Cost of Living Index project has grown, we have several data sets for different geographies, including a county, state, and metro publication. This presentation will focus primarily on our original data set, which is published at the metro city level. C2ER, formerly called the American Chamber of Commerce Research Association, or ACRA, has consistently published the index each quarter since 1968. Beginning with 147 metros to now over 300 in the database, the data is still primarily collected by volunteer researchers at local chambers and economic development organizations. I just find that amazing for a data set to survive for over 50 years through volunteer researchers. Though it is primarily collected in the US, we have included a few Canadian cities in the past. Here you see a picture of the first issue. As a researcher and data lover, it's really fun to sometimes at the end of a workday flip through the old printed publications and see how much a banana, Coke, or the housing cost in the early days back in the late 60s. The index covers 6 categories comprised of 57 goods and services. To achieve the best apples-to-apples comparison, we set the 3 pricing periods for the year and ask all metros to collect the same specified items within the same time period. The index is a measure of relative price differences among urban areas and not designed to measure inflation over time, as each publication is a snapshot of a single point in time. The index is not comparing an average standard of living. It is designed to compare the cost of a particular standard of living for managerial and professional households within an urban area. C2ER believes that end users are not well served unless the methodology is understood. We strive to make our methodology and process as transparent as possible. As mentioned, the data prices are collected during the same time period. The 6 categories are based on a sample of items we all purchase to run our households. The average prices are then weighted to calculate the categorical and composite indexes. These weights are derived from the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey. All data collected is subject to a 3-stage review process. And there is also a technical advisory board consulted for any methodological updates. The 6 categories include groceries, housing, utilities, transportation, healthcare, and miscellaneous. Of these categories, housing is the single largest determinant of cost of living, though this also makes intuitive sense as it's what most of us spend the majority of our incomes on. We review the items priced each year to ensure that they are all still available in the current sizes and packaging in stores, and that they're representative of what we all are currently purchasing. Some of the more recent item updates include switching to dishwashing pods over dishwashing powder, collecting local cell phone rates and fees in place of a home phone line, adding yoga data, and digital newspaper subscriptions. The US average is always benchmarked to 100. The most common application of the index is to compare the differences between 2 places. Here you see the 2020 annual average publication's top 10 most and least expensive cities in the US. I don't think it will be too surprising to share with you that New York City, Manhattan, the Manhattan borough, is always the most expensive. Of the 269 cities in the 2020 annual average index, 188 of them fall below the national average of 100, while 81 are above. From our perspective, at the national level, anything within a 4% plus or minus change is roughly the same and not very significant. So if we were to look at the cities that fall between a composite score of 96 and 104, because from our perspective, they're still really right there at that national average, there's 53 out of the 269 that fall in that category. What's the story that these numbers are telling us? Sure, larger cities are more expensive. That fits within the demand theory available for available housing, which of course would be more expensive in more populated places with a smaller supply. When we adjust for median income by cost of living, we see that some cities are much better off with a lower income compared to their lower cost of living. Purely for demonstration purposes, I am showing an example from our county level index. This table lists selected US counties in order from lowest to highest median household income, or MHI. From Jefferson City, Mississippi in the rural South to San Francisco, the 3rd most expensive city in the country, according to our 2020 annual average report. Before moving on, let's reference the cost of living value for each county. Overall, it makes sense that the lowest median income is also the lowest cost of living here in Jefferson County, Mississippi, and that San Francisco County's cost of living is on the higher end. Though one location that does stick out here is New York County, or Manhattan, with the highest cost of living in the table, but they only have the 3rd highest MHI that we see. Now, let's see the impact on income when we adjust for cost of living. Jefferson County, Mississippi is still the lowest. However, given the local income goes $5,000 further than the national average when we make this adjustment. We see that Manhattan and New York County drops to the second lowest adjusted median income, as well as San Francisco County. Wyandotte County, Kansas, part of Kansas City, and originally in the middle of the pack at $44,000 for a median household income, is the most significantly adjusted median household income for cost of living at $56,000. Looking at the data impacts firsthand, what does this mean for policy and businesses? Many businesses use the data as a key measurement tool in the decision process to help determine competitive wages. It is also used to measure the cost of doing business for retailers and manufacturers. The data helps industries assess the overall economic health of an area and helps determine if the location is a viable option. Real estate investors use COLI to determine achievable rental rates and housing prices. Government agencies use the data to determine levels of need for grants for program funding, or the localities use the COLI data to prove their case in the applications when they're applying to said grant. Local community stakeholders, the key drivers and data collectors as mentioned, use the data as a talent and business attraction and retention tool. Over the last 12 months in the pandemic, we've seen smaller communities using the data to attract remote workers has had an increase by about 20%. Lastly, the data is used by a variety of applied and academic researchers for market outlooks, making reliable predictions with the price data, comparing to census data as we just did with the median household income, and comparing to the cost to do business in various metros. Thank you for joining us and learning how the cost of living index is an important community indicator. Please do not hesitate to reach out at any time if you'd like to maybe help contribute data, license the product, subscribe, or just have any questions in general. We're always very happy to talk and also just learn how the data is being used. Thank you very much.